Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming along to this CSI Training and Events webinar. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy days to come along, so thank you. My name is Dionne Watson, and I'm here delivering today with my business partner, Angela Davies, and also with Julie Bramble, who is a forensic investigation lecturer from Canterbury Christ Church University, who's very kindly come along to do a case study with us today. Thanks, Julie, as well.
Welcome.
So today we're going to be discussing our forensic awareness app, Crime Scene Assistant, and its utilisation in education and training. But before we dive into that, and for those of you that don't really know myself or Angela, sorry, the chat just popped up there. Anybody who doesn't know us, we're just going to give you a bit of a background into us and how we got to be where we are today, really. So Ange and I met at Teesside University 20 years ago now, which feels an absolute lifetime ago, doesn't it, Ange?
It does actually, yeah, to be fair. Still spring chickens.
Yeah, very fresh-faced still. So that was when we met, like I say, back at Teesside University, and that is when we started our careers in crime scene and forensic investigation. And this is whilst we were studying a crime scene science degree. After successful graduation, we both went on to work for Northumbria Police as CSIs. And then after we left the police, we started our business, CSI Training and Events Limited. And then we also are disaster response consultants. And we did that really as well because we've got a passion for the field. It kept our hand in the field, keeps our learning current as well. So since we've started the business, we've developed and delivered training and events to a multitude of audiences across a vast variety of sectors. And as part of that, we've delivered forensic awareness training to frontline responders. And during our experience as CSIs, disaster response consultants, and also through the forensic awareness inputs that we've delivered, we've recognised there's been a real need to improve forensic awareness standards on a much larger scale than we could deliver just through our training alone. And this led us to develop and create our app, Crime Scene Assistant. And we launched this in June 2020. So it's been going for about 5 years now. So for those of you who are unaware of what Crime Scene Assistant is, it's a forensic awareness app and it's been designed to be used as an aid memoir and learning tool. And it can be purchased by individuals on the App Store, or it can also be licensed by organisations as well. Crime Scene Assistant has been developed to be used by anyone who has the potential to be first in attendance at a crime scene. So it's been developed for a number of different first responders. So we have on the slide there, it's been developed for police officers, medics or paramedics, fire officers, and other responders. And within the other responders section, we were really thinking about, again, people who could be first in attendance as part of their remit. So security officers, search and rescue. So there's a whole remit of other people that we've included with that, other responders as well. But as well as people who are actually working in the industry, it's also really useful for students who are looking to go into those careers as well. So before we move on to the rest, we thought we would just give you a very quick demonstration of the app and so you can see the sort of content that you can find in there. So I'm just going to share my screen. Can you see that clearly?
Yes.
Fabulous, thank you. So when you first come onto the app, we have these 4 responder categories on here. So the information is broken down into these categories. So although when you come on, you will see a process page for all of them, the information is varied and tailored for each of those responder categories. So for the sake of today's demonstration, I'm just going to run through the police section with you. So when you come on, the first thing you'll see is our step-by-step process. So we've got the process in a really simple step-by-step flow here. And then we have some additional sections at the bottom that are outside of this step-by-step process. So we have step 1, approaching the scene. And when you come into here for policing, we'll have a little bit of information at the top, and anywhere within the app that you see this little cross mark, it's basically where you can get additional information. So we've tried to keep the outer information as short, bite-sized chunks of information that's really easy to digest. But if someone has more time and wants to learn a little bit more, they can click this cross and you can see it gives a lot more information there. If it wants to be closed off, then you can just close this. Then on the policing section, we have information for approaching the scene, whether it's a volume crime scene or a major category. And you can click onto either of these and it'll give you a new page of information. Again, you can see that we have the crosses, so you can get additional information if necessary. But what's really useful about these pages is, like we say, it's short bite-sized chunks of information, but actually this is also a checklist. So as an action is carried out, you can click on the information to say that you've done that action. And the thing that's really useful for this as well is if for any reason you need to come off the app and come back onto it, if I go back in there, you'll see that it's saved those ticks as well. So you don't lose that information. If you finish with that scene and then need to get rid of it, you can just press this little refresh in here and it'll give you confirmation. Do you want to clear it or not? If you say yes, it'll take them out. So we've tried to use these really useful checklists throughout the app so you can keep a record of any actions that have been taken. I'm not going to cover the detail of any of these sections massively. I'm just going to give you a very quick overview of what we have. So within step 2, we have preserve or recover. And again, we have some general information here, which is for if you are going to be preserving or recovering, and we have additional information again. And then we have priority 1, preserving the scene, or priority 2, recovering evidence. And you'll see on this one, instead of those little crosses, we have some little arrows. If you click those, it will take you to a lot more information. So within preservation, we've broken it down into scene type. So we have indoor scenes, outdoor scenes, points of entry, digital evidence, and dealing with a person. And each of these will give you specific bits of information that are relevant to that type of scene. Within recovery, we have, if you click through again, a step-by-step process. So we have choosing appropriate packaging. And within that, we have some evidence types and the best type of packaging that should be used. We have some information on recovering the evidence, how to package, seal and label appropriately, maintaining continuity and integrity. And then at the bottom, we have some standalone sections again. So we have some information on recovery of samples from a detainee, and we have some information on fingerprint surfaces even. The great thing with the app as well is it's completely offline. So once somebody has downloaded it onto their phone, this information will be there for them. There is a handful of links. I think there's only 3 external links in here, and there is one within samples from a detainee. And this is to do with it. This is UK specific for this link, but there's very few of them in here. So if somebody clicks through on the link, it'll take them to the website and it'll give them a bit more information about PACE Code D within there. But like I say, most of the information is offline, so it's really easy to access and navigate wherever you are. So again, we have some information on documentation. Again, a little checklist format within that. And then within the policing section, we have information that's really important to be passed over to the CSI who will be attended. And then, like I mentioned, we have some standalone sections on here. So when we first started, the sexual offences section was built in within the app, but we thought it was so specialist that actually it's come out and it has its own set of instructions within here. And then the last thing, which we're going to talk about in a little bit as well, but we have added recently an EDI section. So the EDI section's really useful, and it has some best practice advice, some legislation, and some useful information and definitions on there as well. So like I say, it was just a very quick demonstration for you today of the app to show you the sorts of information that you can find within there.
Thank you, Dionne.
Thanks.
I think it's a nice presentation there to show the information and some of the app's functionality. Also, those links that are in there, I think Dee mentioned there's 3 of them. There's PACE Code D, and the other one links to a sexual assault referral centre. They are UK based, but we have actually deliberately kept the app in the information in the app so that it can be used internationally and not just in the UK. There's only those, I think, 3 links, would you say, Dee, that are mostly?
Yeah, I think there is just the 3 links there.
Which are relative to the UK only. Okay, so since we launched the app in 2020, it's gone from strength to strength, and we are continuously developing it. Things have progressed, and it's actually being used by 12 universities so far, with over 3,000 students utilising the app. And we're really proud of this. We're really pleased about it. It's been used on multiple course types, so that includes policing courses, paramedic science courses, crime scene and forensic courses, and also criminology and criminal justice realities courses as well. And we've had quite a bit of feedback about how people have been using the app, and they've been using it in different ways by utilising either the whole app or just using sections of it. Of course, we obviously advocate for using the whole app, but if it works where sections are being used, then that's great as well. The app's been also used for training purposes nationally and internationally in a number of different contexts, which we're really happy about. So like Dee said, we recently launched the EDI section, the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion section, which was written in collaboration with experts in the field, Dr. Sana Rahim of Sheffield Hallam University and Professor Rob Dover from Hull University. So we are constantly trying to update it and improve it and develop it. And we are at the moment working on adding more images into the app and also some videos into the app. And we recently just announced that we have a new section which we're currently working on in collaboration with Rachel Medhurst from the University of South Wales, which is a new digital forensics section, which we think is going to be really useful and a lot of benefit to our users. So we just wanted to touch upon a couple of examples of how the app has been integrated into education and into training. Like I said, people were either using the whole app or sections of the app. So when using the whole app, we've had remote workshops that have been developed. One really great example of this was one of our first licensees, actually, which was Strathclyde University, and they developed a workshop around Google Earth and Crime Scene Assistant itself, which was entirely integrated, that could be used either remotely or face-to-face. And in it, students would use the crime scene that had been created on Google Earth and approach the scene utilising the app. And they had to work through a whole scenario, which was a full workshop and module developed around it, which was amazing. People have also used it for simulated crime scenes and practical assessments. So students approaching crime scenes and then examining scenes, utilising the app and using it as a revision tool. One of the other things is that it's been given to students and learners as an independent resource, so to use for their own research, use as revision, or actually used when completing tasks in workshops. And a number of people are now using it as pre-training and teaching, so that people are given tasks before lectures or before training, so independent learning's already taking place before students are arriving in the classroom, and then it's being picked up from there and teaching's being developed around it. In terms of sections of the app, a number of case scenarios have been developed fact, we've used it ourselves. Actually, in training, we've used both the whole app and sections of it. It's been happening where case scenarios being developed, and an example one for us is where we use it in detention processes, where we give students a crime scene, we give them information in a crime scenario, delivering a crime type, circumstances of the crime, evidence recovered from the crime scene, and then we ask them to use the recovery of samples from a detainee section, which Dionne showed you there, and then create a strategy regarding the samples that had been recovered from an offender in custody. So considering whether the samples were intimate or non-intimate, the levels of consent that would be needed, who would be taking those samples, and then also what would best drive the investigation. So from there, we got them thinking about a forensic strategy and thinking about what was recovered from an offender and also from the scene, and thinking about forensic strategies as well. The documentation section we know has been used by a variety of people in different settings, but one example is utilising the checklist to ensure that students have got all appropriate information recorded, and then they've used the checklist and the information in there to then create statements for court, which have then been used later on in mock courts. And finally, the sexual offences section of the app was used in international training, and it was the training was sexual and gender-based violence in a humanitarian context, and it was actually delivered to various audience, including NGOs involved in building in territory capacity. So it was taught to police investigators, university lecturers, medical legal investigators, and a number of other people. I think over 150 participants were hit within that training. So that was really great. So it has been integrated in a number of ways. These are just examples. We have had lots of other people come forward and tell us, but of course, what we want to do is do a live case study with Julie Bramble, somebody who's been using the app for a year. So Julie's a forensic investigation lecturer at Canterbury Christ Church University, also a disaster response consultant, and we have worked together in other contexts. And Julie's also an ex-crime scene investigator and ex-embalmer, so many years in the field, lots of practitioner experience, and now lots of experience in education too. So thank you so much, Julie, for coming along.
You're welcome.
We really appreciate it and appreciate you agreeing to be a case study with us, for us. So what we're going to do is just talk to Julie a bit about how she heard about the app and how it's been integrated. So I think if we start there, Julie, can you tell us where you actually heard about the app?
Yep. So obviously, like you say, I've worked with you guys. So I kind of followed you on LinkedIn and I saw it advertised and realised that going into academia, moving forward, it'd be a tool for the students.
Fantastic. So it was via LinkedIn and that you saw us advertising. That's good to know. Something's working, Dionne.
It is.
Brilliant. And can you tell us what you think about the app? I suppose both as a practitioner, because you've got so much practitioner experience, and also as an educator now as a forensic investigation lecturer. What are your views of the app?
I think it's really important to have the knowledge in the palm of your hand. There is we all know there's lots of paperwork that comes with the standard operating procedures, and I think sometimes a lot of information can get missed. So having that function on your mobile phone, which we all know everybody has, and sometimes our scenes are very remote and may not have internet. So the joy of the fact that you can use it without any internet, one as a practitioner, but two as an educator, because there is some research around digital poverty and how students do struggle around digital poverty, in the fact that they can still use that. So the fact that they don't have to have the internet. Forensic awareness is so important because things can get missed very easily or actually ruined very easily in crime scenes. And the more awareness that people have, the more accessible that is, it is vitally important.
Yeah, I don't think people realise when you work in the field, you come across it more and more, don't you? That whoever's been there first in attendance, and through no fault of their own often, because often there's just not the capacity for training, or they don't get enough training. But contamination often happens at that front end, doesn't it?
Very much so.
And it was one of the reasons that we really wanted to develop the app, to try and kind of get in at that front end and raise awareness in the hope that we'd improve investigation moving forward. So can I ask how you were integrating it into your studies, how you've been using it as an educator?
Yep. So I lead on a couple of modules that introducing crime scene investigation. So right at the very beginning of their journey in level 4, and they have a really basic burglary scene. But again, like you say, they're not expected to remember everything. It's not a memory test. Can they disseminate the information? Can they take the information from the app that they click into those nice checklists to, and transfer that into their paperwork? But also, so as they, particularly for packaging, they understand how they need to package the exhibits that they found. And yes, we do have, again, paper versions of these, but we all know students are very reluctant to read lots and lots of paperwork. And there's research that I've conducted about flipped learning, and that comes with watching programs and using apps instead of lots of reading. And so I definitely have integrated it there. Volume series crime, which I start teaching again in September. We have a detainee in custody. So part of their assessed practical is writing a forensic strategy for somebody that is in custody. So very much I'm going to encourage them that they need to use that app, because it will just, again, transfer directly straight across. Everything that's on the app is everything that is actually current practice within police forces anyway, and they need to have that real world experience. Apps are being used more and more frequently in policing, so we know we've got the Jessup app, we know we've got the Know Your Chemicals app, we also know we've got 3 words now, which I think is an amazing tool anyway, and that our students need to be work ready with real world practices.
Definitely. That's amazing. So you're actually using it in a number of different ways, a number of different levels in that case.
Yeah.
We love that, Julie. Love it.
We do.
And are your students enjoying the app? Have you had much feedback from them?
They have. I carried out some research for a postgraduate certificate in academic practice, and I chose to do it on the app, mainly because I'd put a lot of time in for the business case for it, for our students to have it. And they love the simplicity of the checklists. They know that they can tick on those boxes, and they know if they've missed anything from their paperwork by transferring that across. They really like the packaging. It's nice and easy to find what they need to package their exhibits in. And it's very user friendly. One of the joys about it is that once you've logged in, you don't need to keep logging in, so you don't need to remember a password. Once you're logged in, you just open that app up and it's there ready to use. Because we all know we have a million passwords that we never remember.
Yeah. It's true. We did that deliberately. One of the other things that we've done as well is that if, for instance, a police officer's using it and they click into the police section, when they log out and come back in, they won't have to log out, but also it'll take them to their process page straight away as well. So you'll not have to choose which agency you're with every time. It'll just take you straight back to your home service page.
Excellent.
We started working with you pre the equality, diversity and inclusion section that we launched at the beginning of the year. But now, of course, you and your students have got that section as well. What are your thoughts around that? Do you think it's useful?
Really useful. So we recently did an interdisciplinary with criminal investigation, the paramedic students, the forensic students, and the policing students, and it was so helpful to understand the diverse nature of all of our students as well, because we have a very diverse culture here. And that they said that it was nice to know that everybody was included and that people could be aware of all of those. So really helpful.
Fantastic. That's really great feedback, actually. Thank you.
It is.
I suppose a big one, you don't have to be nice, you can be brutal, but try and be nice. What are we like to work with?
No, you're great, because obviously in universities there's usually lots of paperwork to be filled in when it comes, one, for me to apply for funding. So if anybody that works at a university will know that trying to find funding, and there's always going to be reams of paperwork. So I don't know whether ours had more in comparison to some universities, but there was a lot of paperwork that needed to be dealt with, and Angela and Dee had all the answers and responded really quickly. Our IT department were more than happy, because the app doesn't actually breach any GDPR regulations, because it doesn't take any data from the students. So they were more than happy with the implementation. And Ange and Dee, like I say, they worked with the lady here. They had meetings, and yeah, there was a lot of paperwork to fill in, but it was quick and efficient.
Thank you. And how did you find the licensing process?
Me personally, I found it really easy. Maybe because I didn't have to do as much as the IT lady that was given to me to work with. I think she did probably most of the hard work, to be honest. But once I gave you the list of the students, the information was disseminated out, and the students logged in. And if there were any problems, the students went straight to you, and not my IT department was concerned that they would start going to the IT department, but that's not the case. So any questions that the students had, Ange and Dee answered.
Thank you. Phew. Risky questions there, Dee.
Yeah. They were, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Julie. We really appreciate it, and we're so happy that you and your students are getting so much benefit from the app.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you again. Echo everything Ange said. So what we thought we would do now is just run through from our perspective, really, some of the benefits. Although I think Julie did such a lovely job.
Yeah,
I don't know
she
that I need to
covered
do this now.
No, I think Julie covered most of them, to be fair.
But from our perspective, we'll give a very quick run through of some of the benefits to educators and also trainers who are using the app. So, as we've said, it's a really useful resource to aid development of learning materials, and you gave quite a few examples there of how people have utilised it for that purpose. It's great for either virtual or practical learning environments. We've had it done from both aspects, and it seems to work great across the board, which is brilliant for us. It's a new way of engaging learners. As Julie said, we know most people have mobile phones these days, and we're all quite attached to them. We always have them in our pockets and have them around us. So it's a really new and engaging way to engage the learners in that way. It can be used to support and embed learning that's already been done. It shows consistency of approach and process, and it could potentially can increase performance. Like we say, because you've got that on you all the time, you can have the training or the learning first, but actually you've got something to take away with you, and it's there at your fingertips whenever you needed to refer back to it. And as we've also alluded to, we've already done a number of updates to keep the app current and fresh, and we have a number coming out as well. So it does keep that learning current as well. So from a learner's point of view, we see that the benefits to them are that they have it at their fingertips, as we've said. It's also a lot handier and cheaper than a textbook. It's got really condensed information that's regularly updated. And as Julie mentioned, there actually students and learners can use this on the go. So if you're traveling somewhere, if someone's on a train, for example, then it can be really difficult to have large textbooks and things like that with you. But to have it on your phone, it's really easy to get a hold of. It's in line with the forensic science regulations. So the learning is current, that's in there. As we've said, it's great to use in practicals, and it's really easy to navigate and utilize in all not just learning environments, in all environments, really, anywhere where it needs to be accessed, it's useful for. As we've said, it's offline, so it can be used anytime other than those 3 links that we have. Learners and students have found it really great to use as a revision guide, and that is because of those bite-sized chunks of information as well. And because it's easy to navigate and it's delivered in that step-by-step guide, it is really easy for people to digest and follow through, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's the benefits that we see to both trainers and educators and the learners themselves. And Crime Scene Assistant can be accessed in a number of ways. So as we've mentioned, it is available on both the app stores, so both on the Android and the Apple app stores, where it can be purchased by individuals. And the cost on the app stores is $6.99. Organisations can also license the app for their learners or their students, and we've included our email address here, so if anybody is interested in that, you can get in touch to find out more. We haven't included the pricing on this presentation because it is really determined by you and your users, by how many you have, but it is a discount on what is available on the App Store. So organisations get a discount by bulk buying the app and coming directly to us for that. We also have a white labelling option there where we can add some of your own policies, procedures. Well, really anything that somebody would want tailored to themselves, we can discuss and look through as well. So as we've mentioned, and Julie mentioned there, the licensing process is actually quite simple. So how it works is an organisation would get in touch with us. We'd give them all of the licensing information. They'll then decide how many users that they want to get the app for. We'll send over a contract then that will be, once that's agreed and signed and returned to us, and a payment has been made, we then will release the app. We set all of the users up, so there's no work on the organisation there. We'll set the users up ourselves. And then if the organisation wishes, we do have an introductory video that we can send through, but we're also happy to do some introduction workshops as well, if that's useful for someone. So that's everything that we wanted to cover today. So a massive thank you, firstly, to Julie again for coming along and being a case study for us. So thank you. And thank you for everyone for attending as well. We really appreciate it. And we've included our LinkedIn QR codes there. So if anyone wants to connect with us on LinkedIn, the 3 of our codes are on there. If you scan them, you'll be able to connect with us. And we've included our email address as well. But we are happy to take any questions if anyone has any at the moment. Okay, so we have a question in the chat. So we have a question from Ian. Hello all, based on my experience with the app, which is very good, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
I noticed you cannot save your checked boxes as part of your contemporaneous notes at the scene, no capability to save on the app. Is this something you think will change in the future, as the only option now is to screenshot? So this is something that we have considered, isn't it, Ange? And potentially something in the future. But for now, one thing we were really conscious of is that GDPR side of things that Julie mentioned earlier. And we have had some concern from people if you can save and take away things into the app, so the app storing more information. So for now, it's something that we haven't included, but it is something we consider for the future, would you say, Ange?
Yeah, and one of the considerations that we have is to put in a send function, so you can save your list and then email it to yourself under your case number. So that's one of the things that we're exploring, like Dee said, as well as the potential to save.
Yeah. Well, great to know that you've used it and you've had a good experience with it so far as well. Definitely something we'll bear in mind for the future.
Oh, you've got some more questions, but we'll email us. No problem, Ian. Thank you so much.
That would be great. Thank you.
We'll be happy to answer any question. If people don't want to ask here, we're really happy to answer questions in emails, or also if somebody wanted to set up a Teams chat with us, we'd also be really happy to meet up with people individually as well.
We would. I think that seems to be all of the questions for now. So, like we say, we've left our email address on the slide there. So, if anybody wants to drop us an email, whether that's to ask more questions, get the licensing information, or if you'd like to organise a meeting, we are here to do that. So, please drop us an email over on there. And like we say, thank you to you all for attending. It's much appreciated. We know everybody's really busy. So, thank you.